Aidan McNeill.
George O'Leary.
Good to see you again, man.
Pleasure to be on the podcast.
How's it going?
Again. Oh, I'm doing very well.
Not as if I see you half the time, man, in Dog Patch. But yeah, we're here in a different.
There's only two of us now this time. We're missing the
we're
flow
missing
gas salesman.
Yeah, that's right. Flow gas and electricity.
Yes.
Louis Kennedy, we're calling out to you. If you can see us,
man.
Yeah, great man. But yeah, we're back in the pod. We're back in the podcast now. These are going to be a lot more consistent from now on. So we've got a rake of guests doing it. I think Aidan's doing it a lot now. You're going to You're going to be on the podcast team.
I'll be on, fairly regular, and then we have another one scheduled there for Wednesday. We have a very interesting man coming in.
Lorcan. So that's going to.
He just won a Emerging Ventures grant. Lots of money in his account now.
Yeah, he got a grant recently for
great things. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be
many
good.
thousands, many thousands.
Many thousands. Yes. So that's going to be good to talk about. But yeah, for now, I suppose I wanted to start off with my favourite song. Do you ever hear about Kingston Town, man?
No, I haven't. I'll just stick it up, play it. Do we have audio on this?
Copyright, man.
Oh yeah, we'll fuck everything up.
Yeah. What's it called? YouTube care about that. I don't care about that. YouTube care about that.
Yeah.
So I'm afraid.
Sure, I'll listen to it my own time after this now.
Yeah, lads. If there's anybody watching who enjoys a bit of Kingston Town,
three people that might be watching this.
Oh, Kingston Town, man, it's the best song. But I wasn't sure if you knew it or not. But yeah. So I suppose, Aidan, kind of like we're both doing the same kind of thing at the moment. Like we're in Dog Patch Labs. We're in Dublin. We're in Dog Patch Labs, which is a startup hub for.
Well, there's one big difference. One of us is employed, and the other one isn't.
But I must say, I really must say that I've really slipped into the. I've really adjusted nicely into this job I'm working at the moment. But so it's a Botox startup, and I was talking to you about it before. What we do is, instead of opening up clinics, like physical clinics, Botox clinics, our Botox doctors go to partnering salons, hair beauty salons, to set up shop there for the day. It could be 1 day a month, 2 day a month, and we operate Botox wise out of there. So it's a really cool startup kind of.
It's a great business. It's a wonder no one's done it before. You know that.
Well, there's somebody who has done it. Somebody has done it to an extent, but nobody has taken as much of an attack towards this industry than we have.
Yeah,
we're the first.
You have 20 odd salons so far, and you're only.
We're about 20 salons. We're only 3 weeks in.
Only 3 weeks in.
So 20
salons already.
Yeah, we're working. We're working. If you go to young.ie, you'll see.
What's your growth rate? Like, how many salons are you getting every week?
We're getting. The first few weeks there was obviously organisation, organisation done before we officially launched. But kind of like we're signing up salons every week, and it's nice because if you're a middle-aged woman, okay,
we circle back and actually describe what Young does.
No, I was saying that what we do is that we provide. I'll give you the rundown. We're young.ie, young.ie. We provide medical aesthetics, all things medical aesthetics. So that can be lip fillers, I think, and cheek, all this anti-wrinkle stuff. What's going on? So yeah, we're working hard on that, and again, Botox. We're not allowed to. I don't think you're allowed to advertise saying Botox. I think it has to be medical aesthetics. But we do Botox.
Why is that? Is that because it's under trademark, or what's the story there?
I don't know what the problem is there. There's a thing there. I think it's a legal requirement that you can't call it Botox. I'm not sure, but it has to be called anti-wrinkle. We provide anti-wrinkle services out of local salons. So our doctor goes to the local salons, and would set up shop there. So would set up like a bed, would set up like the table for people to lie on, and we see probably there could be 10 or 15 people a day at those, but they're starting to get up to that. So yeah, what we do really is we just provide Botox, and we provide medical aesthetics, and
yeah, so I'm just looking it up there. Botox is a trademark brand, so that's why you can't advertise it.
Is that it? Yeah.
You'd have to pay the company themselves,
Oh, right, okay, yeah. That's that's kind of. Oh, really? Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Hoover,
Yeah. So
a brand that makes vacuum cleaners.
Yeah, because I think the big problem kind of nowadays, and this is especially if you're getting into retail, or if you're trying to open a restaurant, or if you're just trying to do anything that requires kind of a physical location, it's going to cost just a lot of money. And we have really kind of undercut that problem. So like the biggest problem that all Botox clinics and all Retail, all shops, all food, all restaurants. The biggest problem by far is the overheads. It just costs a lot of money to run them, and like rent, rates, fees, all this stuff. So we cut all that out, and we just have our employees and our doctors. So this is, and by the way, I'm not the CEO or anything. Like, I'm head of operations.
Low overheads, high profits.
Very low overheads, and then we get to undercut price wise with that money that we would have saved. So like, it's a nice business model. I like what I'm doing, but I think Dogpatch is probably the best place for any type of startup to really just foster into a potentially great business.
An oasis of innovation within the desert of nothingness of Ireland.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, because Ireland, startup world, it's
We have an awful negative country.
Do you think?
I think we have an awful negative country.
What makes you say that?
Well, whenever someone comes up with some ideas, like something clever, something brilliant, it's like, oh, go away with your notions.
Yeah.
That's the attitude around the country.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at the States, what's going to California, even any stupid idea, everyone goes mad. It's like, oh, that's brilliant, go do that. And they give a rake of funding, and then they fail because it's a stupid idea.
Right.
But,
so it's because, so they're a lot more optimistic.
Yeah, it's a very optimistic country. Whereas here we're a lot more, go away with that.
Well, America is kind of the land.
Notions.
Yeah, it's kind of known as the land of opportunity, though, isn't it? America,
yeah.
Like, they're very open to these businesses. But like, America is a consumerized country to the absolute extreme. America is a consumer country. That's what it is. I mean, let me just turn this volume down so it's not so fuzzy. I want to make sure that America is it's a consumer country. I mean, in Ireland we've got local. You go into town. I'm from Nina, in Tipperary. You go into Nina, man, and it's just loads of local shops. The sports shops are local. The food is local. In America, it's just all chains. Walmart, McDonald's, just everything. Lowe's. Everything, every single thing. Sporting shops, Dick's Sporting Goods, all of these things are just chains. That's why America is a real kind of, it's obviously the pinnacle of capitalism.
Yes, it is, of course.
Yeah.
And it has its pros and cons,
So when Americans see an opportunity to make money with a startup or something, they're going to be a lot more psyched. But you see Ireland, again, the startup world is so American, specifically San Francisco. And I think it's really good to have something like Dogpatch Labs in Dublin or in Ireland, because Ireland is a small country. It's nice to have something that's like its pinnacle focus is startup world.
Well, the problem is we're such a small country. That is the problem, because to do this business, you need a huge concentration of private capital to invest in these things. Whereas that just does not exist in Ireland.
Yeah.
That's why there's a reason why San Francisco and LA and kind of Miami is getting there as well.
Yeah.
Have become concentrations of this innovation. It's just because there's capital there available. If you have an idea, you can get funding and you can go and do it. Whereas that kind of setup is not really there here in Ireland to the same scale.
Yeah, it's just like there's not enough private money.
Exactly. It's there.
Because that's kind of what I mean. Correct me if I'm wrong, but oftentimes that's what startups depend completely on private money.
Oh yeah, private equity.
Private equity.
That's
private equity funding.
Entirely,
yeah.
To get going.
Yeah. And who would be is there a lot of VCs in Ireland or
no
venture capitalists? There's
very little. Like there are some, they do exist.
There's one here. There's HBAN. Is HBAN a VC?
I don't know.
Yeah, HBAN provides private money.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly what they do.
There's a few, Frontline Ventures is down the road. So there's a few there. But it's just we don't have the concentration.
No.
And
but we don't have the people.
Exactly, we don't have the people. It's a function of being a small country. It's
just what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I think in general, Ireland has quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
For we've got quite a lot of stuff for such a small country.
Well, being such a small country has made us very globalized, which is an advantage in itself.
How?
Well, being a small country forces us to look towards the entire world perspective of how things operate. Whereas someone living in America can just concern themselves with just what happens in America because they can. It's a big enough country. It's fully internal. You can go on your full holidays within the one country. Whereas, here we want to go to sunny holiday beach, we have to go to a different country, go to Italy, go to Spain, different country. Whereas they can just go to a different part of their own country. They want to go skiing, different part of their own country. They want to go to New York, it's a different part of their own country.
I think that's what even Americans would.
They have their own internal trade, whereas we don't have that. All of our trade is with other countries, other parts of the world. We trade with America, China, EU.
But America is such a massive country.
Exactly, and they're fully self-sufficient as well. So they have their own oil, energy.
Well, they were
food. No, they're net exporters of oil currently.
Oh, really? Yeah.
biggest export of oil this year in history of America. So they're increasing.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, because I thought they stopped fracking as well. I know it's not
No,
oil.
they stopped. They've ramped it up, and fracking's natural gas anyway. But they're net exporters of energy and oil.
Really?
Yeah.
Who do they sell oil and gas to?
Us, for example. So
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yes, they send LNG terminals. So that's liquefied natural gas. So you get the natural gas up out of the ground from fracking, whatever, and you cool it down until it becomes liquid, and then you can fill up these enormous ships. These ships are, this almost the size of a city. They're
Big tankers.
Oh, enormous tankers! These things can be 2 kilometers long.
Because when I was running a kayak business with Ian Larkin, a good friend of mine, we were importing kayaks from China, and we were tracking the boat that they were coming on, and there was like
Did it pass through Suez or
there's this app called Vessel Finder.
Yeah.
And we had our code, like we were able to see our ship.
Did you have a container full? Is that what you did?
Oh, we had 2 containers.
2 containers.
2 40-foot containers. It was massive hauling of kayaks. But
did they pass through Rotterdam or what
they
was
passed through Belgium. Belgium is the biggest port in Europe.
Rotterdam. That's in Netherlands.
No, Belgium's bigger again.
No, Rotterdam's the biggest port in Europe.
Yeah?
Oh.
I don't believe you.
€50 bet.
I don't believe you. €50 bet.
€50 bet.
I'm not doing a €50 bet. I'll do a €5 bet.
Rotterdam is the biggest port in Europe, definitely.
No,
Very
it's not,
possibly.
man.
Oh, it is.
Not at all. Not at all, man. There's no way. No way. Rotterdam.
I don't make €50 bets lightly.
Yeah.
Largest
I don't
seaport
accept
in
them
Europe.
lightly.
And it's the world's largest seaport outside of East Asia.
That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. And
Rotterdam.
It's in Netherlands.
That's mad.
So there you go.
I genuinely thought Belgium was the biggest. That's what I was
It's
saying.
because that's the mouth of the Rhine, so it's the port of the entirety of inner Europe, so Germany, Switzerland, and all places branching out from there. Because they unload all the containers from the port in Rotterdam and then switch them over to barges. Not just containers, they send up oil, gas, coal,
But there's a massive.
plastics, polymers, grain, whatever, and then up the Rhine all the way through into inner Germany, Switzerland, Basel, all that.
What's happening now with there's like a war in Yemen, and there's wars all around. The Israeli-Palestinian war has caused these tankers and these big ships to actually not go through the Suez Canal because would you believe Egypt closed the Suez Canal? Not the moment, but there was a period of time where they were going around the whole Cape of Goodwill.
that was in the 70s.
No, this was a few weeks ago.
That was a different situation. So that was the Houthis, which are a Arab.
Yeah, what story then?
So they're an Arab terrorist group
okay.
in Yemen, which is around the Horn of Africa. So if you can think of you have Saudi Arabia there, and Africa's coming along here. They're right at that corner of Saudi Arabia. So they're that one peninsula. They're right there, and they are quite annoyed with America, with the whole Palestine-Israeli thing. And so they decided to start launching rockets at
military targets.
Nope, at private commercial container ships passing through.
Really?
So that is why the Suez Canal was not shut off. But in order to get to the Suez Canal, you have to pass through that kind of around the Horn of Africa there.
Okay. But I'm saying this is recent, like.
Oh yeah, this was last week.
Yeah, right. Because global.
The Suez Canal was shut off due to the Egyptian-Israeli war. I can't remember the exact name of it, in the 70s. So that was shut off for 5 or 6 years.
Because global trade goes through the Suez Canal.
Exactly.
As I was saying about...
trade to Europe from China. So the trade to the US can go through the Pacific.
Of course, but I'm saying into the whole of Europe. But I'm saying when I was importing kayaks that time, we were looking on the Vessel Finder app, and it was just tankers everywhere.
Yeah.
Like they must be extracting billions of barrels of oil every month.
It's huge.
It has to be.
I mean, oil is the biggest industry in the world.
Oh yeah.
Depending how you measure it. If you measure it a different way, telco is.
If you measure it
bigger
by
again.
well, I know, but if you measure it by power, it's definitely the biggest.
Oh, of course.
I mean, most of the most recent wars in the last 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
Not naming any specific country, were specific to the need of oil or the want of oil.
Well, not to the need of oil.
To the want of oil.
No, not the want of oil. They have plenty of their own oil. It was the want to control the export so that they can control their own price of oil.
Yeah,
so
no,
it's all about control.
It's
They have
not.
enough-
It's
they have
not
enough
all
oil to
about
run
control.
themselves.
No, it's not all about control. What it's all about, and correct me if I'm wrong. Do correct me if I'm wrong. It's all about trading oil in U.S. currency as the U.S. dollar.
As
so
well.
there's, so
Yeah,
there's
so
a-
that-
no.
that's
I-
about-
let me
that's
just explain.
Hence control.
Yeah,
because they can set the price of oil based on whatever their interest rate is.
Yeah, isn't it called the petrodollar or something? It's like it's based on that because there was remember there was that time where Muammar Gaddafi was a very interesting character because he tried to create a centralized African currency backed by minerals and gold, and he got killed.
Yeah.
Completely killed. I think it was Hillary Clinton or whatever it was.
They want to keep the US dollar as a worldwide currency.
Yeah.
For a reason. So I believe it was Saudi Arabia was starting to make ties with China, and that they were going to take yen for oil.
Yeah.
And
BRICS as well. Did you hear about BRICS?
I didn't hear about this now.
You didn't hear about BRICS?
No.
No way.
BRICS, as in the Argentinian thing that they won't join. Yeah.
Yeah, Brazil,
Oh, yeah,
Brazil,
yeah.
Russia, India, China, South Africa.
Yes.
It's like a massive alliance.
Exactly, and then Argentina were set to join that. And
Yeah.
then with your man Milei, who came in power there.
Oh,
a few
did he
weeks back,
deny that?
he shut that out completely. He said, no, we're not doing that whatsoever. We're going to switch our currency to US dollar and completely 100% align ourselves with US, and then also turn our entire economy into libertarian as a test.
No way.
So that's what he's doing.
Yeah,
so it'll be
because-
very interesting to see what
very
happens there in the
interesting.
next 5 to 10 years. Very, very, because it's the first time that this will be tested at scale, a proper libertarian method.
Is he the first kind of modern libertarian president?
Yes,
Really?
yes, by a long way.
So he's libertarian.
Yeah, so he was a tenured professor of economics of a libertarian point of view.
Okay. And just so I understand, and just so, I mean, I think I understand the politics and society for leaving cert. But libertarianism is not just about just so pro freedom of speech. It's beside fascism, but it's
No, it's not at all fascism. It's the opposite. Fascism.
Is it on the other side of the spectrum?
Yeah, fascism is all about control. Well, see, there's
If you look at the political compass, libertarian is on the right.
no libertarian is at the bottom, and authoritarian is at the top.
I was looking at a childish scale then.
Yes, you're thinking of a
Yes, I am, yeah.
one-dimensional kind of
A line.
line. Whereas
Moderate
this
in
is
the middle.
This is a plane. So you have
Okay,
authoritarian
yeah.
at the top, libertarian at the bottom,
Okay.
and then fascist, communists. on the
Okay.
center.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah.
you
like
can-
an axis.
Exactly.
Okay.
So authoritarian, fascist is kind of what it tends to be.
Okay.
Whereas libertarian is the opposite of authoritarian. It is
Okay.
all about freedom, essentially, is the basis of it. So freedom of speech, freedom of is the one main thing the entire thing is based off of is ownership, private ownership.
Private ownership.
So
Which
private
is what
ownership
they're
of
trying to-
land, property, control, objects, just private ownership, and then within that, as minimize the amount of rules, minimize government intervention, free trade across the board, free speech, free everything. So a pure libertarian philosophy is all for gay marriage, all that kind of liberal. All those liberal things is pro liberal agenda, because it's all about freedom of choice, freedom of speech, freedom to do whatever you want, essentially, within certain bounds of rules. So freedom to do whatever you want peacefully. So you still need enforcement of law. You can't have violence.
Did you see what? It was the president of one of those South American countries. He just had a complete crackdown on organized crime. He started just literally picking up people who looked like they were in a gang, put them in a jail. Did you see that? What's his name
Venezuela,
again?
was it?
No, was it Venezuela now? I cannot remember, but it was one of those South American, because those organized crime groups are just running, especially the likes of Mexico, aren't they? They're running Mexico. I don't know too much about.
They have their own military entirely.
Yeah.
You look at pictures of them, and then you look at pictures next to them of the U.S. Army. It's indistinguishable. The amount of kit they have, and they have all the insignias and all the letters across their chest,
Right.
saying which cartel they're part of or whatever. It's full military dictatorship by the cartels down there.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's so close to America, and actually there's been a massive thing. I'll actually say something on this. There's been a massive kind of it's went under the radar for people in Ireland, I think, and people in Europe, but I think it's been in America though, and I've got family in America. there's been a massive kind of like a problem with the border. There's been a massive border crisis. People have been coming in, like apparently, and I don't know this now for sure, but I'm just saying, apparently like hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, in the last few years, and it just makes me think of the presidential election that's coming up this year. Now, like we've seen Ron DeSantis drop out. Just today, we saw Vivek Ramaswamy drop. Say that Vivek Ramaswamy gone as well. So the two of them are gone, and like I mean, Ron DeSantis would have been the one to beat Trump.
Yeah.
So I find that very interesting. Nikki Haley's never going to win. She's never going to win. So like I heard somewhere that they're trying to get Trump to make Nikki Haley trying to get Trump to make Nikki Haley his vice president. I wonder how that's going to go down. What's your opinion on the whole Trump thing?
Well,
because like he's gaining popularity.
He is, but also
hugely.
At the same time, they have the most popular independent nominee of all time in Bobby Kennedy.
Yeah, true.
So on one hand, you
have
a babbling idiot who's 80 and can't find his way off a stage, and then on the other hand, you have a morally reprehensible figure, who objectively did have his stint in power had great policy decisions, and when you look back at it retrospectively, it did turn out quite well.
He's the most
his border policy, China policy, economic policy was very successful.
Bobby Kennedy? No,
Trump.
Oh right, okay.
So although he's morally reprehensible, and I do not like the man one bit, you have to admit that his comparing the two terms of Biden and Trump's, the period of Trump's was far better. And Jamie Dimon is after going on record saying that very interestingly, and he's
just what I was about to say.
He is a very committed Democrat.
Very. And he's in the financial world. He has to be very careful what he says about Trump.
Exactly. Well, what he says actually interestingly is he says have a heart of a Democrat and a mind of a Republican.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting one.
Well, what that means is that he has to act like a Democrat because he's working in finance, and he really is just a Republican. That's what that means. Because I saw that was in the World Economic Forum in Davos this year, and that's that event.
Milei had a half-hour speech where he essentially just ripped into all of them and said, "All of your globalist policies are do nothing but impoverish the world." Yeah. I don't know if I buy that though, to be honest, because like here's my opinion on this now. My opinion is that I think there's just a huge amount of people, especially with the rise of kind of conspiracy theories on TikTok and all sorts of social media platforms. I think the general public are turning their eye a lot to the World Economic Forum. There's a lot of people that I talk to who would have never really followed politics that closely, but they're there talking to me about the dangers of the World Economic Forum and all this stuff. It's going around. I mean, it's completely popular. It's been trending for ages on TikTok, and what that makes me think is that like. I just don't know what to believe and what not to believe when it comes to politics anymore, especially when it's on the world stage of the World Economic Forum. I mean, that's such a powerful organisation. It has the CEO of most main big companies, public-private, as well as the politicians of nearly the heads of states of nearly most countries in the world, bar I think actually 6. Those 6 comprising of North Korea, Cuba, you know what I mean? So like it's basically it's a massive, like the World Economic Forum is a massively influential platform. So since there is attention turning to the World Economic Forum, I would ask, do you ever just think that they have somebody on like Milei just to kind of like almost reassure people that, you know what I mean, that the end of democratic societies is not coming? Well, just to reassure people. I don't personally buy it that he's a big time huge freedom guy. Well, that's what I was saying earlier. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, because currently he's done a lot of talk, a lot of great things. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Whether he actually implements all these ideas and talks, we have yet to see. Right. So. And what is it? Can't say anything with respect to that until we can look back on it in 4 years' time and see what has happened. Right. But I don't think there's any point making any predictions on that currently. Really? Yeah. Yeah. So because he could be all talk and do nothing. That's what I'm saying. And be full of corruption and pocket a load of money and be a dictator. The same as the past. Jesus, nearly 110 No, not 110. 100, yeah, nearly 100 years of Argentinian history of just consistent, military dictatorships, corruption, just dictatorships across the board. They tried communism out for a bit. That didn't work. They tried everything out, but always authoritarian.
Yeah, because I just think that there's money in the industry of promoting freedom. I think there's money in that industry. For politicians, they're going to, if they promote freedom enough, they're going to, because I think that, especially like, even if you take an example of Ireland now, I'm not talking politics too much, especially Irish politics here now, but I would say that there is probably a good group of people, a big group of people in the country, probably a big amount of the population, that believe that freedom has been taken in Ireland. And I'd say that if there's anybody who can market freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of whatever, they're probably going to be pretty popular with politics.
Yeah.
Would you? What do you think?
I would agree.
Yeah.
In a certain climate.
Yeah.
So, the example of Argentina is that they have been a climate of, repression over the last 100 years. Communism, authoritarianism. They've been under all of it.
Yeah.
And the one thing they haven't had is freedom.
Right.
So in that climate, of course, he got elected.
Yeah.
Saying all that.
Yeah. Because he won by a landslide.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he was a notable figure before he got elected. Because he, like I said, he was a tenured economics professor. He's brought on all these shows, advocating for all these different things that now he is actually getting a chance to implement.
Yeah.
So he was known. And now he's got the power to see what happens.
It's going to be very. I didn't actually watch the World Economic Forum speech of his. Did you watch it?
I did watch it.
What was it like?
Was
he drilling it into them?
He was drilling it into them very hard. Yes.
Really.
He took the example of the gist of the entire speech was looking at the last 2,000 years of human history.
Really.
And there was a turning point in the 1800s, which was the Industrial Revolution, and that turning point,
of course,
was across Europe.
Yeah,
there was a lot of things happening.
Yeah,
but the main one that he concentrated on was that's when capitalism was fully and entirely embraced.
Right,
was at that time.
Okay,
and so we went from 95% poverty over these last 200 years to 5% poverty.
Jesus.
Meanwhile, having an entire explosion of population.
Right. Okay. Because you hear about it's such a good topic to bring up actually, the Industrial Revolution, because everybody knows about Ted Kaczynski. What was his the opening to his manifesto was industrial society and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. They've greatly destabilized. Do you not believe that?
Nonsense.
No way. But that's so interesting though. If you take a look from even a social media perspective, or even working people to death. Kind of with such a little amount of time off and kind of underpaying them, it just really goes to far in the States. Or even spraying vegetables and fruit. Do you not see that as that is the unequivocal consequence of the industrial society?
Before we had Industrial Revolution and machines to do all this, we had slavery.
Yeah.
So I don't think using the fact that we have people that are they're working slightly less jobs, less well-paid jobs than other people, counting that as slavery is relevant in the conversation when we're talking about literal slavery and poverty accounting for 90%.
But that's not just the manufacturing industry. That's just the manufacturing industry.
Oh, manufacturing,
social media, the quality of life.
Agrarian society, food. There isn't anyone.
He argues that people live on a mass scale, especially in America, pretty unfulfilling life. The vast majority of people.
That may be true. But there's food to eat. As an overall, there's food to eat. There's running water. If you take an overall big picture, high level picture, as a whole, we are better off by far.
Really,
but we can get so much better. This is what Miele was emphasizing in his speech was. Yeah. Okay, we've come to this point where we are far better off than we are now.
Yeah.
But in the last kind of 30 years or so, there's just been an extreme over-regulation of everything that has kind of slowed all that down, and we're not seeing the same kind of progress that we were seeing during the Industrial Revolution. So now he's saying let's go back to that. Let's go back to the progress that we had that brought us to where we are now compared to before the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
So we're by no means in a perfect society.
I know.
And what he's saying is,
Like,
we need to be in a better society, and the way to get there is embracing the stuff that worked,
okay.
that got us here to this point.
Yeah, and see, and actually, just on that, the stuff that got us, the stuff that worked, and the things that worked, the things that fundamentally worked with the, you know, in a line with the Industrial Revolution. Would you not say that has been kind of sabotaged by, like, severe capitalism? Like, do you get what I mean? It kind of just absolutely milking things.
Market failure.
Completely.
Well, see, that I don't have a strong opinion on this now. I don't know enough about it. But what Millet was saying in his speech was, I don't remember the exact quote, but essentially it was the gist of the reason there is no such thing as market failure, because whenever there is market failure, it's due to at some point there being interference within the system that's causing pressure in one way that then is ruining the next thing, kind of a chain reaction sort of job. So there might be a huge amount of regulation here, and that's impacting another industry that then there is, you know, what we would call market failure or not. But if you took an overall approach, you just took away everything and just let things happen, you get stuff that wouldn't work out because, you know, there isn't enough demand for it, there isn't enough supply for it, and then it just kind of gradually, organically shift to something else. Like, and there hasn't been a proper experiment of that to see what happens until possibly now. So that's why I was saying it'd be interesting to see what happens in Argentina, because if he actually implements all this stuff and does what he is saying that he will do, it will be the first large-scale complete experiment of this kind. But which will be in stark contrast to kind of the EU's attitude, which is over-regulating everything. You know, we saw what happened with the AI bill.
This is kind of where the whole talk of a world government comes in. So, like, I would say that, like, if you had to take a look at, like, Klaus Schwab, you have to say to yourself, you know, I mean, you know his fundamental principles. What does he think? I mean, obviously, you know, there's so much I would disagree with, so much that a vast majority of people in the world would disagree with. But is his point, I wonder, he's pro world government. Does he think that the only way to achieve the benefits of the Industrial Revolution without severe capitalism is the only way of doing that by having a world government, a centrally run government? Is that I just want to know what he thinks, because, you know, there's definitely
accessibility shortcuts.
Oh, technical difficulties now.
Use.
It's still working. Yeah, still working. Okay, so getting just back to things there now, to the podcast. Let me just see. So I suppose I never really got to finish asking you that question about Klaus Schwab. So I mean, like, you take a look at a figure like Klaus Schwab, and it just begs the question that makes you think, like, what does he want? Because you take a look at somebody who has that type of just a massive globalized kind of mindset. And like the first thing people would think of is, oh, he's evil, he's the bad guy. And trust me, I'm not in any way, shape or form somebody who endorses at the moment at all, a world government. I don't think that's a great idea at the moment. I really don't, because people are misinformed, people are malinformed of this whole world government. If this whole world government thing is going ahead, this whole 2050 plan, you can see it on the World Economic Forum website. It makes you just think, what is his rationale? What does he think? So if I had to ask you a question, it would be, what do you think he thinks?
He wants control.
You think this? You just think it's completely about control?
Wants control.
Really? Yeah.
Either control or he's a complete idiot.
Really?
But I don't think he's an idiot.
I don't think he's doing
I think he knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh, I do as well. I mean, like, to build a organisation like the World Economic Forum up from the ground, completely up from the ground, and have every important business figure, every important political figure.
Exactly.
I mean, like, that takes tremendous amount of knowledge.
Incredibly intelligent, connected, ambitious.
Yeah.
He's got it all. So, it's just power.
It's just power.
I think so, yeah.
Really?
Because what other reason can there be?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out, is there another reason? Is there something that the vast majority of people who know about the World Economic Forum's plans, is there something that we're not considering? I don't think there is. I
think it's very, very simple. I don't think there's point looking into some big conspiracy or some big, convoluted reason why he's doing it. He just wants power. He wants control. All his buddies, all the people within his circle, they want to control things, and I think that's it.
Really, yeah.
Yeah. Very simple.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to be allowed to happen. How are people going to allow that to happen?
It won't be allowed.
You think?
No, of course not.
I believe unequivocally it's going to happen.
No, because you've countries like the United States of America, for example, that want to do nothing except what suits them.
Yeah.
So how could they possibly allow something like that to happen? Meanwhile,
same with China.
Same with China.
The exact same with China.
Why would they do that? Same with Russia. Why would Russia? So none of the world powers would be up for it. The only people up for it would be likes of the Germans.
So why they?
They're a joke, and the country itself is a joke. You see what they've done with
Germany.
Yeah,
Germany's turned into a kip, hasn't it?
What a joke the country.
Yeah, Germany is.
They spent the funniest thing. I'll tell you the story. The funniest thing I have seen a country do. A country of that kind of wealth and power that Germany is. Yeah. What they've done in the last 10 years is hilarious.
Run me through.
So they elect the Green Party. Right? This is the Green Party.
It's a bad start.
A Green Party. So their whole goal and mission is, no fossil fuels, no emissions, kind of lower emissions, and then they're also a little bit socialist as well, but that's kind of a aside, not the main bit. So the Green Party goes very hard after shutting down all the nuclear plants in Germany.
Right.
What's that got to do with CO2 emissions? Don't ask me.
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But they've got in their head that we have to have windmills and solar farms. And have you ever checked the weather in Germany? It's not very sunny most of the year.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't sunny when I went to Frankfurt recently. Now.
So there's a flaw in that in itself.
Right. Yeah.
But they shut down all the perfectly usable, functioning nuclear plants.
When did they shut them down?
Over the last 10 years.
No way.
Yeah.
They shut down nuclear plants.
Nuclear plants, yeah.
Wow.
So they shut them down.
And were they trying to? Were the Green Party trying to do that?
It could be 15 years now at this point. But
were they afraid of a Chernobyl happening again?
There was no logic.
Yeah,
of it.
It's just the Green Party.
Nonsensical, stupid decision.
Just the Green Party.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, for some reason,
that's what you get with the Green Party.
The roots of eco-socialism, the kind of the green religion, as I like to call it.
Yeah,
it goes back to the 70s, where it was also in play with the whole anti-nuclear bomb thing, and then keeping nuclear reactors were then associated with that, and then it got a big bad rap, and then kind of that thread carried on to the point where we are now. Even though, if you look at the facts, objectively speaking, nuclear is by far the cleanest form of energy.
Oh, definitely.
By a long mile.
100%.
I don't even have to argue about it.
No, it's just a well-known fact.
It's a well-known fact.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they decided that it was bad. Nuclear is bad. We have to shut it down and then build a bunch of solar farms and all that.
Yeah.
And then use natural gas.
Yeah.
As their idea. Because, natural gas, very clean.
Yeah, yeah.
All it does is produce just pure CO2.
It's so stupid when you think it's so vastly stupid.
So what they did is they shut down all their nuclear plants.
Yeah.
And they started building solar farms in their rainy country.
Oh yeah. As you do.
And they started building wind farms over the old coal mines.
Okay.
And then they started getting into cahoots with Russia.
Oh yeah.
And built pipelines for natural gas to come in.
But that isn't that ridiculous from a NATO standpoint? Like, what's the point? Like, I remember actually,
and that was all funded by the petrochemical industry.
Yeah, and I really don't like to cut across you.
Yeah.
To be quite frank, but I have to, because I remember once when Trump was sitting with NATO. He was sitting, there was US on one side, NATO on the other side. He was just saying to Germany, you're stupid. Like, you're part of NATO and you're here, directly supplying, or you're receiving oil and gas from Russia. What was it, gas pipeline?
Yeah,
Nord Stream 2?
Nord Stream 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Blown up.
But who blew that up?
Who knows?
Yeah. You could take a few good guesses, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's not too many options of who would do that.
No, there's actually only one option. There's only one option. But I won't say that for the sake of...
For the sake of the YouTube algorithm. Well, back to topic there. So,
yeah.
They have gas. They replace all the nuclear plants with natural gas coming in.
Yeah.
But what happens? Suddenly there's a war in Ukraine and there's a blockade on Russia and the Nord Stream gets blown up and suddenly there's no gas coming from the Russia.
Well, I'll say it like this: there's 0 point in Russia blowing that up. Yeah. Really, I mean, there's from everything I've read, everything I've seen, why would Russia blow up their own? Or the pipeline that's supplying, that's making them money. I mean, I know it goes further than money and stuff when it comes to these wars with America, but like, I don't think Russia or Ukraine blew up that pipeline, to be quite honest with you, and like, I hate to see this Yemen war now as well. I mean, it's just another thing, isn't it, really? It's non-stop warfare when it comes to these countries, these Western countries. I mean,
it's a skirmish.
You can blame everybody, but it always leads back to something else somebody else did. I mean, it's just, these wars are non-stop. I mean, it's really the Ukraine war, between the Ukraine war, the Palestine-Israel war, or the Israel-Palestine war, and the I won't get into that. And
we'll leave that one for next.
We'll leave that. That's going to be a deep discussion the next time, and we're not bringing up Israel today. But but between those two wars and this Yemen war, I mean, it's just, and then there's China and Taiwan. It's just so much negativity everywhere. I hate the news. I just hate the news.
We can go into China and Taiwan the next day as well. There's a lot to say about that. Lots to say about that.
I have a lot to learn about that, actually, because I'm not well versed on that. But like, I think like, for me now, this leads all back to the what I consider the biggest problem in Western society, maybe other societies, really Western, is social media. I think it's a massive problem. Now, I think social media I think it's one of the biggest problems. I really do, besides the sprayed foods and all the processed crap that we're eating. I really do think that social media platforms are really just a massive problem. Like, when you think about it, when you break it down, you take a look at it, okay? You are getting, especially in America, I'm speaking at America right now, and it's coming to Ireland, especially, it's in England as well. Social media divides people, and it divides people very seriously. It turns people into either identifying as left-winger or right-wing, whether they say that themselves. There's no such thing as moderate. There's no such thing as in the middle. There's no such thing as, preferring an independent anymore. It's down to policy, and it's down to where you lie in the political spectrum. And I feel that, like, social media platforms such as it's really down to Facebook, and we'll get on to Elon Musk in a while, but really it's down to, Twitter. I mean, we'll get on to Twitter in a while, but I think Twitter, I mean, you open Twitter, and even still you open Twitter, and you're just being fed, the worst of the worst from all sorts of political issues. So I'm not even going to get into political issues. But if you have a political issue that you feel strongly about, or a thing that you feel strongly about, Twitter is going to force feed you just a hell of a lot of that negative energy that actually grows your hatred for whatever it is that you don't like. So you go from not liking a certain thing, it may be a certain provision, it may be a law, it may be something that's happening in society, it's something that you don't like. And what happens is, and it's the same with Instagram, really it's and TikTok, it's really a TikTok and Twitter problem, that they feed into this because they know you're gonna engage with those videos. It just ends up totally dividing people, and I really do feel that society is massively hindered in a very negative fashion by social media. I really do believe that.
Well, yeah, there's more money in division.
Yeah.
That's a very simple answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know. What's your whole take on the whole social media kind of thing? I mean, maybe you don't see it as much of a problem as I do.
Listen, I honestly, I don't have Instagram. I don't have Facebook.
Really?
I don't have Snapchat.
Yeah.
I don't have any of these. So I don't have TikTok. I don't really. It doesn't affect me in any way.
Yeah.
I simply don't have them. I don't partake. I don't use.
Yeah. That's wow. Really.
Yeah.
Because I message you on WhatsApp, but I don't think about it often.
Yeah.
I remember I sent you a post on Instagram, or so I asked you to check something on Instagram, and you said I need to download it quick. I need to just download it there.
Yeah.
Oh my God! How do you detach? Have you always been detached from social media?
Yeah, never bothered. Just seeing the amount of time wasted on it just put me off. Not getting into that nonsense.
I'm a big time waster on social media.
Yeah. Think how much time you would have in your day, every day, to do productive things if you didn't partake in any of that.
Like there was 1 week where I spent 34 hours on TikTok, just TikTok in 1 week.
What could you have done with those 32 hours?
Oh, lad,
of productive time.
Oh,
not sleeping time now. We're talking productive daytime.
Productive daytime.
Yeah, 32 hours of productive daytime.
I could have excelled a startup I was thinking about for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a complete waste of time. Social media is a complete waste of time.
So that's just ruined an economic opportunity for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll put my two hands up and I'll say that yes, I'm somebody who wastes a lot of. Now I've been reducing it since the 2nd of January. I'm trying, but I need to delete it.
Just delete it outright.
Yeah,
it's very simple.
But I just.
If it's not on the phone, you're not looking at it.
I'm almost afraid of deleting it.
Well, you're addicted.
I am addicted. Yes, I am. Oh, I'm completely addicted.
You go to rehab.
It's a massive problem.
Maybe that's another startup, actually.
Social media rehab.
Social media rehab, yeah.
Yeah, get people.
We're onto something there now.
Yeah. Well, now we're talking money. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of parents who would send their children there, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually not even a bad idea. Just a complete and utter no phone. But as people, I mean, black market ideology would go into that straight away. I mean, people would have phones. Is there any way of completely, unless you're in prison or something? And I still see videos of prisoners with phones. Well, phones have just crept their way into our society in every single little way you can possibly imagine.
There's nothing wrong with
Everybody's addicted to their phones.
There's nothing wrong with phones.
Well, that's what I mean. It's social media.
It's the stuff on it.
It's the social media.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there a way of making a social media platform?
It's just to keep people, dumbed down and just looking at and all worried about little small inconsequential nonsense.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. Because like the Chinese version,
and it conveniently makes some people some money. I mean, the Chinese version is the worst of the lot.
No, the Chinese version is the best because the Chinese version.
I mean that's why TikTok is so much worse than the other ones because the other ones are just purely businesses, whereas the Chinese one is completely entirely dedicated to the mind numbing of the Western world. Oh my God, man! I would disagree so harsh on that. Unless it's so harsh. It's so funny because I did actually a lot of reading, well not reading, I did a lot of watching about this. On what?
It doesn't qualify me necessarily, but I just want to speak
about
the Chinese version of TikTok. So TikTok.
Oh, that's not talking about the Chinese version of TikTok. I'm talking about TikTok in itself being a Chinese social media company distributed to the Western world. Oh, so I misunderstood you completely. Yes, no, I agree fully. Yes, exactly. Because it's entirely well documented. That's.
Sorry, I thought you were saying outrageous things. No. I thought you were saying it's perfect in the West and it's bad in China.
No, it's the other way around.
Because obviously the same company who owns Chinese TikTok owns Western TikTok, but the Chinese TikTok legally is more or less told, and has to and does anyway, promotes educational content to children, and it promotes educational self-development.
What does it promote to you, George?
To me?
Yeah.
Well, if you want to ask me personally, my social media, my TikTok feed has been so, the algorithm has so much vast data to work with. So it's really just has me down to a T. It's really down to business, rubbish videos that you just watch. Just rubbish, time-wasting videos. Business, and then there's time-wasting videos. Business videos, time-wasting videos, and politics. There's a lot of politics on my feed. And I've actually become kind of concerned about I've become concerned personally that TikTok has caused my views on politics to become almost more radical.
Yeah, that's his entire purpose.
Yeah. Is there any way
that's how the algorithm works. Yeah, there is. Delete it.
No, is there any way of making a social media kind of platform that doesn't is there any way of making a social media platform that like still you can get people not hooked on it, but you can get people using it for vast periods of time? But it's not
I don't
promoting.
think so, because the entire function of people being hooked on it
is that they have an interest in it.
Is that they have an interest in it, and you keep people interested by giving them slightly more extreme versions of what they're thinking at the time. If you're just giving someone the exact same thing over and over again, they can get bored after an hour and turn it off. Right. If you could slightly increase the extremity every time, keep them interested, and then you throw in a few random stuff and you keep them interested, just on the edge of their seat.
And that's what's being done now.
And then over the course of several years, suddenly you have someone that's a hard right extremist. Right, or a hard left extremist. It works both ways. You have communists coming out of this.
It goes both ways. I mean, you've got people who have seriously strong right wing and far left, whatever, far right, far left, whatever, far everything. Serious views.
Fascist
on problems that people don't even care about.
Exactly.
Like there's people all across the world that have strong views on American gun laws. And why? Doesn't affect them.
Why does it care? Who cares?
So
who cares what the Americans do with their guns?
So it's just I just think I don't know. I've been really thinking, is there any way of creating any type of platform that people can use and will be kind of addicted to without all of this just vast negativity, or are people addicted to negativity?
I think it depends what tranche of the population you're aiming towards.
I'm talking about the vast.
I don't think there is then.
Really?
I don't think there is.
Yeah, and if for example, if it was 2004 and you started a social media company before Facebook and you were the first one there.
Well, look how Facebook
is there any way you could change that?
Facebook started with a very particular demographic.
College students.
Yes, college students are the top colleges in the US of a certain age bracket.
Right.
So at that point, yes, it's a grand it's a fine thing. So you have people who are, broadly speaking, they're on the more intelligent end of the spectrum. Yeah. And so the stuff that they could be consuming is more nuanced, more interesting. Yeah. But if you're marketing to the masses, then you get into the whole more extreme, dumbed down stuff. And I don't think it works.
But it's because people are misinformed by what they see.
Exactly.
And it's on both. I highly stress that it's on both the left and the right.
Yeah.
Because the media will say that it's only the right, but sure, it's both. It's both. Absolutely both.
Well, that's the left-wing media says that, and then the right-wing media says the other way around. So,
but no, yeah.
It just depends which media you're looking at.
Yeah. I mean, in Ireland we don't have... I wouldn't say that we have a moderate
well, we're too
media.
small of a country.
I know, but I wouldn't say that even for our population we've got a pretty I would not say that we have a politically moderate news broadcaster.
We have a broadcaster who just supports whoever the incumbent is, because we're a small country and that's the easy thing to do. Or they support against the incumbent if there's some housing or something, the children's hospital comes up and they say, oh no, the government's bad. Yeah. It's just we're too small of a country further to be thoroughly divided media.
Yeah, okay. Because I would have said that it's going in that direction.
I don't think it can. We're too small. There's not enough money to be made in a split media.
Really? Because you see, like,
because there's not enough money to be made even in just the media as it is today. They're all scraping by.
Really?
If they're trying to split into, some of them do a certain middle population, some of them do the other, it doesn't work in this country.
But as you said earlier, division creates money.
Division if you have enough of a population to divide.
Oh, really? I would... Okay, yeah, because you see, like, the likes of, like, gripped media That would be.
Not familiar with them, no.
They would be diagnosed. They're Irish. They would be diagnosed. I'd say they would be diagnosed, or they would be called right wing. Okay, and then you would see certain other medias. I don't know. Some people would call RTE or Virgin Media. They would call them left wing. So, like, I mean, there is quite a population of people who do that.
Yeah,
I think that. But I suppose again, maybe it's just from what I've been seeing.
Gript is not mainstream.
No,
I never even heard of them before you mentioned them there.
and doesn't that just show the like what I've been shown? Because I see Gript every day.
Exactly. So Gript is not mainstream. So we don't have the divide. You know, of course, then there's going to be some tiny, hard communist sort of media outlets out there. I don't know who they are. Never heard of them.
Yeah.
The mainstream media is all the same, and it's because we have too small of a country.
Okay.
You look at the UK, which is, you know,
much bigger
country.
Yeah.
They have a media split.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's
and they only have a media split
example.
recently.
Yeah, well,
GB News and BBC, I suppose.
That's arguable.
Really?
That's arguable.
Yeah.
You know, you can go way back, and there was always Labour versus Conservatives.
Yeah.
So
because it looks like Labour's going to win next time.
Yeah, exactly. It shifts back and forth. So I don't think that maybe we've noticed the split more now, but there always has been a split between, you know, the people working in factories and the people owning the factories, all the way back to the last 200 years.
Right. Yeah, more even.
More even.
Yeah.
Well, there wasn't much media before then. Since the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, right, okay, yeah. Because it's been, yeah, okay.
Brings me actually back to my German story.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Never finished that.
Tell me.
So the Germans shut down the nuclear plants, and they started using German natural gas instead.
Yeah.
Russian natural gas. War in Ukraine breaks out, no more natural gas. So what do? They go back to burning coal. They open up all their old coal power plants.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
With the Green Party running it. And the funniest thing is, in order to get at the coal reserves, they have to knock down all the windmills. Because they're sitting on top of the coal mines. So they knock all them down to get back at digging up the coal, because they shut down all the nuclear plants that were providing all the energy 15 years ago.
Man, what is Germany doing?
Nonsense.
What's wrong with Germany? I mean, Germany has the ability to be such a massive influence on the earth.
Exactly, and because
the Green Party,
because they have the highest cost of energy, all the manufacturers are leaving.
In general,
yeah, I'm pro whoever supports more energy overall.
Yeah, you're an energy guy.
Energy, I like energy.
Yeah. What would be the ideal world? Actually,
ideal world is energy too cheap to meter.
Yeah,
that's the ideal world.
Yeah,
because if you have energy too cheap to meter, you can do anything.
Oh, you can do anything, but is that not? I mean, like,
because the cost of energy it's not something to consider.
Yeah, but let me just say, the American government has consistently preferred the use of oil and gas over anything that could be readily available and cheaper. Like they're
consistently since the 70s.
Consistently since years ago.
70s, yeah.
Do you ever hear about the Nikola Tesla? I mean, he used to have, didn't he? Now, do correct me if I'm wrong again, because I don't know this fully, but didn't he have like some type of a Tesla tower or coil?
Yeah, so the problem
used to generate unlimited electricity.
The problem with that was, well, it didn't generate unlimited electricity.
Oh, really?
It just offered a distribution method that did not require power lines.
Okay.
So it distributed through the air.
Okay.
So it
didn't generate electricity?
No, it was just a distribution network.
Okay.
And the problem with that was, the great thing is you can have a light bulb there with no wires on it. It'll have power automatically, so you don't need batteries or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because you have all these Tesla coils up around the place, just beaming energy anywhere, so you just have energy in the air.
Yeah.
The problem with it is you can't meter how much energy people are consuming.
Really?
So therefore you can't charge them, and then the utilities, the people who are making all the money building power lines across the place, suddenly their business is dead. So that was, and then he died. So there was that.
A lot of his work kind of went.
But also, energy was very expensive back then, so you needed to meter it.
Yeah.
So if we were at a point where energy was just so easy to have that you didn't have to meter it, then we just put Tesla coils up again.
Yeah.
Interestingly, there's a startup I came across that is doing that in a home-based environment, so kind of like a Wi-Fi router in your house.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That is basically a miniature Tesla coil that's beaming out energy, so you can have stuff without cables, without batteries in your house. Don't know if it'll work or not, but I'll tell you where it definitely won't work is in Germany, because their energy is so expensive. That's where it definitely won't work.
For God's sake, Germany.
Things are changing. Nuclear energy is now back in fashion.
Really? Yeah.
It's back in fashion now. The first ever COP there in Dubai, it was this year, to support. There was a wide calling of nuclear energy. First time ever. Before that, nuclear energy was in under the same guise as oil and gas and coal for some nonsensical reason.
Is it from Chernobyl?
Yeah, I mean Chernobyl is a bad example.
Yeah.
The reason was it was just a really badly made reactor. Just
really
no safety whatsoever. And then they started doing experiments, which they had no knowledge of what was doing it whatsoever. A better example is Fukushima, which had 4 reactors. All 4 of them melted down. They had a full reactor meltdown on all of the reactors.
Where?
In Fukushima.
Where's that?
Japan.
Yeah?
Yes.
And what? There was
in 2011.
And there was no massive...
No one died.
Really?
There were 0 casualties.
Yeah.
0.
What happened in Chernobyl?
They were experimenting, and then that's big pressure leak and all that. But
Jesus.
a modern reactor, that was different, because that was a really shoddily made Soviet reactor that was very badly managed. A modern normal reactor, like the one that's in Fukushima, like the ones that are across the Western world, there aren't any reactors like Chernobyl left anymore.
Oh, really? Yeah.
No, they're all gone.
Right.
So any normal reactor is just the risk from it is negligible right now.
Jesus.
Completely negligible.
And what about terrorist attacks?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Does nothing. Background radiation is, there's a load of studies now coming out that a slightly elevated amount of radiation is actually good for your body.
No way.
Bizarrely.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, the fact that the reactors we have nowadays are so safe brings me to the point of these new safe design modular reactor startups.
Yeah.
Which, as far as I'm concerned, are all a scam.
Oh, really?
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Based on that one thing. Their whole marketing spiel is, we're really safe because we're using this brand new reactor design that was invented in the 60s and never done. They did this other one, and then say, this is so much safer, so much better. But what they're not considering, what they're selling is they're selling reactor fear, because they have to sell that the current reactors are terribly unsafe. They're like Chernobyl, and we have to be very scared of them, and then we have to go with their design.
But that's all just false, you're saying?
It's entirely false, yes.
Yeah.
And I would actually say, I would counter that argument entirely, because I would say the current reactors are much safer than those ones could possibly be, because the current reactors have been in continuous operation since the 40s or 50s.
Oh, really? Yeah.
As in, not each individual reactor, but we have that span of knowledge of how to operate this particular design. Whereas these ones are entirely unproven. We don't know that, after 5 years, this one bolt corrodes with the water coming over, and this panel falls off, and then stuff goes wrong. Whereas we've had 80 years to figure out all that stuff with the current reactors that we have, the normal design that's used across the world. So I think they're all a scam. That's my personal opinion.
It's really something that I've got absolutely blatantly zero knowledge on. Any type of energy industry, really. It's just, so that's very interesting to hear that. And is there a lot of them that have raised a lot of money?
They've raised a lot of money.
So somebody believes in them.
And the funniest thing is, well, not the funniest, one of the funny thing is that they've all set up in the country that has the strictest nuclear reactor laws, which is controlled by the NRC, the Nuclear Reactor
America
or something. Yeah, it's NRC.
Oh, really?
So America has the strictest laws on it. UK is much more lax. But for some reason, they've all set up over there, and they're trying to build in a country that hasn't approved a single new reactor design in well over 50 years.
No way.
Until, I will say, in fairness, until a month ago.
No way.
A month ago, they approved one of these new reactors designed to build a test reactor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they approved one. They've slackened out the rules, but still.
Jesus.
It is still the most tightly regulated industry in the world.
Wow.
Is that nuclear?
Nuclear
in America. Much easier to build nukes in the UK. but for some reason they're all doing it in America. And I'll tell you what the reason is. They're all American and their family lives over there, and they don't actually believe in this thing hard enough to go somewhere and get it done. There's one interesting company that I think is worthwhile, and what they're doing is different. What they're doing is saying, here's this reactor design that works, and it's very safe. You know, full four of the cores melted down in Fukushima in 2011. Not a single casualty from it. Full reactor meltdown.
Yeah.
Which, you know, you hear that and you think, holy fuck.
Yeah.
The world's gonna end. The reactor melted down.
Yeah.
No, it's entirely safe.
No way.
They're designed in a way that is entirely safe. And what this company is doing, I can't remember what they're called. I can find it now very quickly.
Yeah.
What they're doing...
Just a quick ad from our sponsor.
A quick ad from our sponsor. This is what an entire podcast be leading up towards.
Give me 6 months.
No, I'm just an admirer of a good business model.
Yeah. Give me 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll get some sponsorship. I'll get somebody to give me a few quid.
So we can get these guys to sponsor us retroactively.
I wouldn't mind that.
That'd be quite nice.
I would love that.
But no, what these guys have done is they've taken that actual reactor design that works. Last Energy, they're called.
Oh, really?
Founded by Brett Kugelmass.
Yeah.
And what they've done is they've taken this reactor design that works and they said, all right, let's just build these in factories.
Okay.
So because
they're shipping them?
Yeah, so just have a factory in America and just build loads of them and then ship them all over the place.
But is it not regular? Is it not in a regulatory fashion? Is it not allowed to build? Are you not allowed to build them?
No, what?
Or are you not allowed to use them?
What, in the States?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so like,
it's a use of it that's a problem.
Oh.
So you can build whatever you want.
No, because there was some fella who built a nuclear reactor in his shed and got viciously arrested.
Oh, he got viciously killed by the nuclear waste.
Oh man.
He got viciously killed.
Do you know much
by
about
the radiation?
I thought he got viciously killed by like the FBI or something.
He got viciously killed by the radiation in the completely unsafe pile of nuclear waste that was in his shed. That happened to be a little bit warm.
For God's sake.
But no,
what do they do with nuclear waste? Just bury it?
They just put it in these big concrete bunkers and it sits there for 50 years. It's
no, it sits there for hundreds of years, I thought.
No, the half-life, like it can sit there for 100 years, but it's fine. It's mostly safe after 50.
Yeah.
You can bury it. It doesn't matter. It's negligible. You know, you can stand right next to them. There's a very famous picture of a pregnant woman who was a nuclear activist who stood hugging one of these bunkers that they're contained in. It's complete background radiation around there. It's nothing. But I'll go back to what these guys, Last Energy, are doing.
Yeah.
They're making these. They're slightly smaller, so they can be made in factories. But the problem now is the over-regulation of materials. It takes 20 years to build them because every nut and bolt is over-regulated. Everything costs 20-30 times more than it would normally. So what they're doing is they're just using high-volume efficiencies. Instead of treating it like a building, they're treating it like a car or an engine or something. Yeah. So you can build them in factories, churn them out, build them over there.
Well, that's a smart kind of solution.
Good solution is actually solving the problem at hand, which is that we're not building them fast enough and they're too expensive to build. Not that they're not safe.
And where are they shipping them to?
First test plants are in the UK.
No way.
Yeah, so they're shipping out to UK.
The UK is interesting. Do you know what? The UK is interesting. Like for the first time in a very long time now, there's going to be more than likely a Labour win to bring Labour back in government, and I just think isn't that really interesting? Because like if you take a look at the last few years of the UK government, like you've had Boris, which was pretty unstable overall, Liz Truss, which was a joke, Rishi Sunak, just a joke. I mean, like
there's no better word to describe that.
I mean, she's a joke. I mean, what a joke. I mean, like you take a look at England, like the UK is just a global powerhouse.
From controlling a third of the world landmass to Liz Truss.
They went from controlling a third of the world's landmass and the sun never actually setting on the UK empire. They went from that. They went from that, right, to a politician who didn't even last longer than a head of lettuce on live TV. I mean, like, it's such a joke. But I don't know, if you ever take a look around London, like, I mean, the price of things, I know you can't really base UK on London, but like in England the price of things is terrible. And like I really find there's been a massive rise, actually.
They have a huge amount of inflation. They have a lot more.
Yeah, there's been a massive rise in inflation, but there's been a massive rise also, and this comes back to media, of course, and divisiveness, but there's been a huge rise in people watching TV programs like Piers Morgan Uncensored, which gets millions of views every week. There's GB News and all their shows that they have on. And actually, this is a really interesting topic of discussion. I'm going to go on a short rant. There's not really much not even much to rant about, other than nearly every single aspect of world media, especially, again, US media, but really the vast majority of media in the world is owned by about 6 or 7 companies. And the people who control those 6 or 7 companies is actually just down to one kind of group of people. So let me explain. You take a look, and you know this very well. I mean,
yes, of course.
So like, you know that
that's no secret.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, it's not well known. You take a look at like all of these big companies like News Corp, Comcast. They're publicly traded companies, and the biggest shareholder in all of these big, massive world media companies, and it's the same for all sorts of things: food companies, pharmaceuticals. We'll get into pharmaceuticals in a while. All of these companies are owned, and I'm going to stay specific on media for a minute. All of these media companies are basically owned by about 4 huge asset managers. So BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, Fidelity Investments, these big massive asset managers that just manage everybody else's money have, I think, 20 or 30 trillion, 15 to 20, whatever it is, just tens of trillions of dollars that they can use at their disposal. And the top 4 shareholders in all of these news companies, and I'm talking about news, the top shareholders in all of those companies are those 4 asset managers. And if you actually take a closer look at who owns what in the asset managers, they all own each other, because BlackRock owns a certain amount in Vanguard owns a certain amount of BlackRock, same with State Street, same with Fidelity. They all kind of own each other, so they're all in a way, and in a way you can look at it in a way that they're actually all really just one massive corporation that just owns itself. And when they decide to zone in on something, when they decide to influence media, or if they decide to put out certain things on media, they're the ones at the board of directors, or they're the ones at the shareholder meetings, whatever. They're the ones who have the biggest say, because they could come together, they could do a cartel basically and say, hey, we're going to say this, we want this and that. And again, just to link everything back up, and I don't like to get into conspiracy theories too much, but all of those asset managers are close allies of the World Economic Forum. So I wonder, what is your thinking on that? What's your thinking on? I suppose I started talking about media, but what's your view on asset managers having such a massive influence on everything, every industry?
I think it's the perfect reason to remain a privately traded company and not go public.
Yeah. You think?
I think
so. I mean, I don't know. I mean, any big public company, it's their top 4 shareholders.
Yeah.
It's Apple, every company. Google it. So I just find that kind of scary. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I find that scary. I mean, Larry Fink is in charge of $10 trillion.
Yeah.
He's in charge of 10. He says what, it's other people's money, but he can say what happens with that money.
To a certain extent,
To an extent, but people don't really care.
Yeah, they don't care, and if he's making decisions, and if things are progressing in a way that is negative overall, the market will find another way of going about things.
Yeah.
The fact that one person is in charge of all that is its own downfall, I would say, in the long run.
Really?
Because how can one person make the right decision every day?
Because they've built a thing called Aladdin, ALADDIN. So that's the answer to your question in a way. So this is like a kind of, I suppose it's an artificial intelligence that they've been building, that BlackRock specifically, and actually specifically Larry Fink lost $100 million on an investment deal, or some investment when he worked in the New York Stock Exchange, or when he worked in Wall Street. He lost $100 million, and he decided to build this project called Aladdin, and what Aladdin does is like it's been fed information on all sorts of markets, property market, every single type of market. And listen, I'm no expert in banking whatsoever. All I know is that this system that they have called Aladdin has been trained on since the 90s, all those years of everything that goes through BlackRock is something that Aladdin has said to do. So now what Aladdin is doing, this AI model that they've been building up for ages, or just this computer system they've been building up for ages. First of all, they lease Aladdin. They lease the use of Aladdin to world governments all around the world, first of all, especially America, and especially the Federal Reserve. The Fed uses Aladdin, and this is like a thing that like isn't so well known. But that's like Aladdin is the basis of the success of BlackRock, because it's able to execute buy and sells to such a seriously well calculated degree. And what's happening in America now, and the reason why houses are being bought up, is because actually, and also Aladdin is doing this and BlackRock is doing this all across Europe, that they're buying up houses when they get on the market straight away. They buy up all of these houses, they're buying up as much private ownership as possible and then renting it back to people to earn money. I don't know exactly what the model is, but they're buying up hundreds of thousands of homes. I don't know what to think of that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's something I don't have the answer to.
Yeah,
you know?
but it's interesting, isn't it?
It is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just like, it's so powerful. It's so powerful. I don't know. Actually, I'll tell you something to change topic. I was looking at a guy called Gary McKinnon recently.
I'm not familiar with him now.
Yeah, he's this guy. I don't know. He's probably middle aged, like probably 50s or 60s now. But in 2001 or 2002 or 3 or one of those years, he hacked into the Pentagon, and he has Asperger's, and he was explaining that his main goal was to just figure out about aliens. So he actually got very far in. He hacked into 50 or 60 computers, 40 or 50, 60 computers, and he was able to extract data and photos as well. He had to set the resolution very low because the Wi-Fi was so bad. But he was able to extract really seriously sensitive information from the US government concerning aliens. What do you think of aliens?
In what way?
Do you think they exist? What do you think? Do you think we do? What do you think of them? What do you think about the concept of aliens? Is it a concept? Is it something that's real? What do you think?
I think there's a high probability that something exists. I don't think it looks like anything remotely familiar.
Yeah.
You see in the movies, and there's aliens all for some reason have to have 2 arms and 2 legs and 2 eyes.
Yeah.
I would say the probability is greater that nothing exists than that they look like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the probability that they look like us is essentially zero.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, the fact that even the formation of bacteria in itself is highly complex. And then you moved from that into invertebrate animals, and then spines, and then and DNA, all that. The entire down to the atom.
Yeah, is different.
Is entirely unique and complicated. So
right,
if there is aliens in life, they look nothing like anything.
Yeah,
that we consider nothing like microbes. They might be made out of silicon
just
rather
completely
than carbon.
different.
Completely entirely different. And I don't have the imagination required to think of what they would look like.
Yeah,
but completely and entirely different, and there's no reason whatsoever to think that they would look anything like us.
Yeah,
that's very, very egotistical to think that they would have 2 arms and 2 legs.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I
would agree with that. I would say
there's also no reason that they look like a big slug, because again, that's based on terrestrial.
It's just like nothing we could ever imagine.
Exactly.
Yeah,
because our entire imagination system is based off stuff that we see and feel and hear and taste every day.
And like our imagination is confined to the environment that we've lived in.
Yeah, exactly. To the evolution that our brain has become and is made out of. So, there's only so far you can actually stretch your imagination, because before you get into the territory of things that you just cannot imagine. You can't imagine. When you get into complicated physics, you just can't physically imagine it, because our brain just doesn't work that way. Our brain works by looking at, feeling and touching real things that are around us.
Yeah.
Hunting, gathering. That primitive brain is what we have, and I don't think it's possible to even imagine what they would look like. I don't think there's any reason to believe that there isn't something else out there.
Yeah,
based
I would agree
based
with
on
that.
the fact that we exist.
Yeah.
You know, it's
And
possible.
that the universe is constantly expanding by
Exactly.
billions of miles every second.
And it's enormously huge.
Yeah.
The fact that we exist demonstrates that it is entirely possible.
Yeah.
So why isn't there? Why wouldn't there be something else out there? You know,
You don't believe in simulation theory?
that's a stretch. I don't. Why would you believe it?
I don't know why you would believe it. Like, if you see, like, now AR, like Apple Vision Pro and all this stuff, you're able to now, and I
Yeah.
mean, this doesn't even account for what governments can do. This is just like publicly, we can now mix completely something that's completely false, like computer. You can mix, or not false, but there's something that's not real. You can mix computer with reality. And it's going to become indistinguishable. And it's the same with video games. It's the same with all of this rapid tech development.
Yeah, but it's still based on atoms and real stuff that exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is-
But, like, I'm not saying that I'm a huge believer.
Objectively speaking, exists.
I'm not saying that I'm a huge believer in simulation theory, but I would wonder, you know, I mean, could we not just be run off of a super powerful computer and somebody just gave us values or whatever, gave us whatever, just whatever.
Well,
just
maybe that is the world that exists, but it
Maybe.
doesn't change the fact that it is the world that we live in.
Yeah.
And
There's probably no point thinking about it, is
there's
there?
no point thinking about it.
No.
First of all.
No.
And it's still the world that we live in.
It's not going to
And
get rid.
therefore-
It's not going to get rid of the Green Party.
Exactly. It's not going to fix Germany, is it? It still doesn't change any of the facts that we're going off of. The fact that we exist, the fact that we're made out of all these bits and bobs, because we can go in and measure it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, we've scientifically been in,
Yeah.
looked at all this stuff,
Yeah.
looked outside of us, looked out into space, and we see and know what all these things are. It doesn't fact how it came to be that the universe exists is irrelevant.
Okay.
It exists, and that's it.
Right.
You know, it could be a simulation, could be Big Bang, could be whatever. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You know, who knows?
Yeah.
There's no way of knowing.
No. No.
And I don't waste my time thinking about something like that.
No. No. And I was just thinking again. Like, I'm gonna have to quit social media.
Yeah, just delete it.
But I don't want to, man.
Why?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know.
You're addicted.
I am.
Just delete it.
Yeah. I'm gonna get rid of TikTok.
Get a
now.
Nokia for a month, and then
Oh.
that's your.
Do you know what? I did that before in 6th year and it actually worked very well.
Yeah, do Nokia for a month. That's your rehab.
Because not using a Nokia is severe rehab.
Yeah,
It's severe rehab.
and phone calls are brilliant.
Yeah. No, they're brilliant. I love
Phone calls are the best.
I use a lot of phone calls,
Exactly.
but I use a lot of Snapchat.
Well, get rid of that nonsense.
Yeah.
Waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think how much more productive you'd be without it.
Yeah, especially now where I'm in a position where I'm working full time and I still have startup ideas that I'm trying to work on. I need to maximize time
Yeah, and
efficiency.
you wasted 36 hours.
Well, this was back in last year. Like, I still spent 24 hours a week on TikTok.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
So you wasted 24 hours
I wasted a day a week.
that could have been used on one of those startup ideas.
And I'm not speaking for just myself. There's a lot of people who spend way
Yeah.
too much time on social media. So I'm speaking for myself. I'm going to do that Nokia, actually.
Yeah.
Because I actually have one. I'm just going to need to get a new SIM card for it. I'm going to actually do
gives
it.
you a competitive advantage over all of the people that are doing 24 hours a day. That have 1 day less of week.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because you live in a
You-
6-day week.
Yeah, you suddenly have a 7-day week. You have an extra day competitive advantage on everyone else.
Yeah. I don't think about it like that. But it's so true.
So, you know,
And by the way, that was only TikTok time. Imagine the amount of time I'd save if I was off the phone in general.
exactly.
Save two days, you know? So, like,
Yeah, so Nokia time. So
Nokia
you know, we
time.
live in a society and world that is overarchingly speaking, you know, not talking about semantics, but mostly speaking, is of a natural selection basis.
Yeah.
And having an extra day a week gives you advantage over everyone else.
It does.
You know, you can do better in life.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm going to do.
How many extra? That's an extra 52 days a year.
Jesus. That's so true.
You know,
You can do a lot of things in 52 days.
You can keep multiplying things together.
Yeah.
And get a big, large number of days and time wasted on that over a lifetime.
That's 520 days in 10 years.
Yeah,
That's over a year.
that's over a year. So you're getting over an extra year by just
Wow.
using a Nokia.
Wow.
Or executing a bit of self-control, depending on...
Well, no. Well, that's true. That's true. I do like self-control, but I'm going to try Nokia. I'm going to try Nokia because...
For reference, George carries around 2 iPhones.
Well, I have 2 iPhones on me. 2 iPhones on me. 2 iPhones.
2 iPhones, an iPad, and an iMac.
Yeah, a Mac, iPad, 2 phones.
Yeah.
Headphones. Apple Watch. It's
Yeah.
a joke. I'm plugged in at
He's
the moment.
very much plugged in.
I'm plugged in.
All he needs now is the Apple Air, whatever the headset is.
Yeah.
What's that called again?
Apple AirPods Max.
What?
Oh, AirPods Pro.
No,
Or-
the headset.
What? Oh, Vision Pro.
Vision Pro.
Oh,
Now is Vision
I'll
Pro,
be- I
and
won't-
you'll be fully plugged in.
I won't be living on Earth anymore then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, that's something I'm going to take from this podcast. Is I'm going to execute. I'm going to try.
Execute an exit strategy.
I'm going to try an exit strategy on the iPhone. I'm going to give the Nokia a go, and I'm going to give it a go. You know what? I am going to give it a go because I'm really in the mood of self-development this year. I'm going to give it a go. I might start at the end of February, or I might just start at the start of February and just say F it altogether.
Get yourself a little pocket calendar notebook, like a little.
I have one of
diaries.
them.
Yeah, we'll use that instead of the phone for the calendar. And
Yeah. I have to use laptop for work.
Yeah, of course. So that's different. That's
grand.
work. That's fine.
That's grand.
That's not a waste of time. That's you earning money
And learning.
and learning.
That's a big thing about startup world. Instead of going straight into corporate, I mean, you'll learn things in corporate, yes, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, but in startup world, you're jack of all trades.
You have to do a
oftentimes.
whole lot more. You know, you're not
Doing
going
a
to
lot
find a
more.
little small job that you do the same thing every week, every year.
Yeah, no. I'm learning on the basis. I'm always learning. Always learning on the job. My objective of work is a basis of learning, and I just so happen to be earning as well. So you never know, that
There
might
you go, win-win.
it might transform into a
Win-win
different startup.
situation.
Aidan McNeill, I appreciate that. Good having you on.
Yes, happy to be
Good
here.
having you on
Thank very
again.
much. George
And-
O'Leary,
yeah.
the WeTalk podcast.
Well, I suppose you'll be here for the next one because
Yeah.
you're co-hosting with me, so I appreciate that. And we have Lorcan on next week or Wednesday, is it?
Wednesday, yeah.
I'm gone next Wednesday, man. This
All right.
Wednesday.
This Wednesday, yeah.
Could you do Thursday?
Oh, yeah, I can do Thursday, yeah.
If we could do Thursday.
Ask Lorcan.
So overall, I want to just say, yeah. So we're gonna have Lorcan on next week, and it's great touching base on some of these really kind of key political and societal issues. I think there's something that needs to be talked about more and more. I think the public discourse needs to. I think the public discourse needs to increase its focus on society and the threat of society being doomed, but also doing it from as much of a positive standpoint as possible. Instead of focusing on what people are doing wrong and what is going wrong and what governments are doing wrong and what companies are doing wrong and what everybody's doing wrong, which is what people think about now. We need to align and adjust our thinking to what people are doing right. We need to figure out what's right, and we need to start focusing more on what people and companies and governments and societies focus on what people are doing. Focus on the good things that people are doing, and try as much as possible to align our values with values that we would consider positive, because really negativity is the thing that's going to really kill society. And we've touched up on a lot of things.
Optimism.
Optimism. We need to be
Is
optimistic.
the correct outlook.
Yeah, optimism.
It's the
Positivity.
morally correct outlook by any measure.
Optimism.
Optimism.
Optimism and positivity, I would argue.
Yes.
Both are either or. I think they are the principles that people are forgetting about.
Exactly.
So yeah. But we'll shake hands on that for now.
Shake
and
hands
I
on
pray.
that. And off to the exit jingle.
Off we go. I better get back onto my new train. Good luck.